It's Colour. I'm Canadian, damn it! What's up? Color Out of Space is a film by Richard Stanley, which is his first film in quite a while from what I've looked up. Apparently his last film was, I think, the 80s. I think, well, maybe. From what I looked up, he hasn't made a film in quite a while since he made this one. And he's planning on making a trilogy of H.P. Lovecraft stories, starting with this one, which is based on The Color Out of Space, which is a short story by H.P. Lovecraft. And it has been adapted into films before. Die Monster Die with Boris Karloff, which came out in, I think, the 60s, was based off of this short story. And then we've got The Curse, which I believe was released in the 80s, from what I looked up anyway, which has Will Wheaton in it, which is funny because I just finished reviewing Rent-A-Pal, and Will Wheaton plays a big role in the film Rent-A-Pal, which I reviewed and is on the channel if you want to go check that out. And now we've got Color Out of Space, which was released in 2019 and is quite a phenomenal horror film, if I must say. This is really good. This is really well done. This is I'm not going to say sci-fi because it's straight up horror, but it's sci-fi in the sense where it involves a meteor crashing into the Earth. You've got lots of, extraterrestrial stuff going on, but basically it's a confined space horror film, like body horror especially, like David Cronenberg would be proud with this one, that's for sure. And it's creepy as hell, it's disturbing as hell, it's quite gory, it's psychologically messed up, and Nick Cage goes full Nick Cage mode, so you've got that going on with it. It's a really, really good film. So I'm here to talk about it as much as I can, and I enjoyed it, so that's you're gonna hear positives from me. But going through the gist of it, you start off with the daughter, who's I don't know the actress's name. I might know. I might look her up. I think her name is Madeline Arthur, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, her name is Madeline Arthur. Beautiful girl. She plays the daughter of Nick Cage, who plays Nathan, and gotta look up. Nick Cage, who plays Nathan, and Jolie Richardson, who plays Teresa. And they're living in this kind of cabin in the woods, kind of isolated from, the suburban area. And the daughter, Lavinia, who's played by, I gotta look up her name again because I'm terrible with names. Lavinia is played by Madeline Arthur, and she's basically a Wiccan girl. And the whole opening scene is really cool, where she's in the forest. She's kind of having this Wiccan chant or worship kind of ideal, and then this guy comes along named Ward Phillips, and he's a young guy. He's trying to test the waters. He's doing a survey on like the water levels and alkaline chemical stuff going on with the waters around the county, kind of thing. So he rolls up on this girl who's doing this spiritual thing, and it's kind of like an embarrassing moment, but it's kind of funny because he plays along with it, and he plays along with it really well because she's embarrassed, but he asks her, and I find this kind of cool, he's like, is that Wiccan or Alexandrian? and then she looks at him like, "Ooh, you know your shit," and she already finds him attractive, so it's kind of funny in that way, and she looks at him and is like, "Well, which one do you think?" And he's like, "Well, I definitely think Alexandrian," and she's like, "Well, that's the second mistake you made." I found that funny. I found that really funny. But but yeah, it was funny, and she's a gorgeous girl. Like my God, she has these like purple streaks in her hair, in her like brown hair, and she's got this like youthful looking face, like huge blue eyes. She rides a horse. It's kind of funny how she rides a horse because she's in the country, but she kind of like she dresses in like these like witch robes and like really long like really Wiccan style dress kind of thing, like even with the hair and everything. And she has this triangle kind of braid on the back of her head, which actually there's a lot of symbolism in this film, and triangles are one of them. With the braid on her hair, and you see it later on in the attic of the house where the window is kind of shaped in a triangle in the same way. So you can tell that this film is filled with symbolism, and this film merits for a lot of like rewatch value, I would say. But yeah, so the opening scene is cool. There's, I mean, this is an H.P. Lovecraft story, so it's packed with H.P. Lovecraft lore. You've got the actual Necronomicon book in the movie, which Lavinia owns and looks and reads on a regular kind of thing. She obviously has a crush on this boy who's going around town testing the waters kind of thing for alkaline or whatnot. And there's a scene where the mother, because he comes by the house to ask questions or survey the parents, right? And she has a crush on him, so she's kind of like trying to like get near him and all that. And her mother, in one specific scene, she's like, well, you like him. It's kind of obvious. You were practically throwing yourself at him, and that's pretty much the worst thing you can say to a teenage girl when she likes a dude. I found that funny because it's like it's so accurate that it was funny. So then there's this hippie around town. His name is Ezra. He's this older, like 50s, 60-year-old kind of guy. Long, like braided hair. Total 100% hippie, like painted face and everything. He has a cat named G Spot. He has a cat named G Spot because why wouldn't you name your pussy G Spot? I loved it. It's like, what if I have a cat? It's gonna be named G Spot because of course I'm gonna name my pussy G Spot. Why wouldn't I? After seeing this film, there's no way I'm gonna own a cat and not name the pussy G Spot. So if I ever own a cat, it's gonna be named G Spot. Just saying. There, Ward Phillips, who's the boy that Lavinia has a crush on, who's testing the waters. His name is Ward Phillips. He's reading a book called The Willows, which was one of H.P. Lovecraft's favorite books while H.P. Lovecraft was alive. He considered it one of the best supernatural stories of English literature. So see, everything is a reference to H.P. Lovecraft in this film. It's pretty great, along with the amazing visuals and the amazing colors with the purples and the neons. Like this film is, if you've ever seen Mandy, this is basically Mandy but more not poetic, more sci-fi. basically. Mandy's more like grounded. Mandy has the colors and everything going for it, but it's more grounded. It's more that kind of revenge kind of thing. This one's like full like fantasy, supernatural, aliens, extraterrestrials, abducting, dimension playing kind of thing. It's fantastic. The way it goes with it. The dimension blending is my favorite thing of this film. There's scenes like that are horrific, where like you get the scene where the mom like chops her fingers because she's in some kind of trance or whatnot. But when it comes to the time playing and I guess I should say, for anybody who hasn't watched the film, this is a spoiler review, so I assume everybody knows what's going on. But for those who don't and are still watching, a meteor hits the Earth, and that's when all this purple light shit starts to happen, right? And this meteor starts to play with time and dimensions. So when the meteor hits and times and dimensions start to play, things start to get really fucked up, but in a really brilliant way. And this film does it so, so good. And it plays with the human emotions with the characters too. And the way they would naturally behave, but because everybody is in such a state of confusion, in a state of funk, that nobody knows what's going on. Night, day, like even Ezra, the crazy hippie, is kind of right, because everything is kind of interwoven with interwoven with each other in the post of this asteroid hitting, and nobody knows what the hell's going on. And Nick Cage, this is where he goes into Nick Cage mode, and he can't get this smell out of his like nostrils, and he can't fathom what's going on. And I actually put in my notes too that and I don't know if this is a good thing, but he seems to have this accent that really resembles his performance in Vampire's Kiss, like 30 years ago. He has that that Nick Cage, young Nick Cage, like 24 years old Nick Cage, that he did in Vampire's Kiss, and like, "Why don't you go to my face, okay?" and it comes out. Sometimes he talks normally, like he'll be yelling, and he'll be like father mode, but then he'll like jump into this like ridiculousness, and it's like, okay, is Nick Cage doing that on purpose, or is Nick Cage doing that by accident? Because he's kind of resembling this crazy character that he played 30 years ago here, and it doesn't really fit. But I don't, it's funny, and it's hilarious, because Nick, I call it Nick Cage mode. Everybody calls it Nick Cage mode. Nick Cage comes out Nick Cage mode in this film, so if you're looking for that, you're gonna get it in the Color Out of Space. But it's I wrote down the apple and tomato scene in the kitchen, where he starts slamming apples and tomatoes in the garbage. So that's Nick Cage mode, and then the dimension fusions, like the alpacas turning into, like, it's kind of like The Thing with the alpacas especially, but with these dimension blendings, like the alpaca fusions, where you get this giant mesh of alpaca heads, and then oh my god, Jack, the little boy, it's so sad, because he's so cute, and he's such an innocent little guy, and then he has this moment where the purple light meshes him and his mother, and then they fuse So like his head is crawling out of the mother's back, and the mother is their atoms, their anatomy are blended together. So it's like this painful thing, and oh, it's a thing out of nightmares. That's exactly what it wrote. It's a thing out of nightmares. Um, and then of course you get the scene where Nick Cage puts both of them fused together in the attic, and leaves them there, and then they turn in, eventually later on in the film, they turn into this creature, and he wants to feed Lithinia, the daughter. Lithinia, is it Lithinia? Lavinia? Of course I didn't get her name right. Why would I? Lavinia. He's like, what did I write down? Go feed your mother. Pushes her into the room and bolts the door. So disturbing. This film is disturbing. But it's disturbing in such a creative way. If you could handle it's not blood and guts. That's the thing. I'm not saying no blood and guts, but it's not just blood and guts. It's psychological creepiness. It's things you see things you don't want to see, and that's kind of sometimes the best horror films is witnessing things you don't want to think about. I think that's what H.P. Lovecraft kind of branded himself as, is that he created things that you just don't want to think about, and he wrote them for you to visualize them, and now you can like actually visualize them with color out of space. It's an entertaining flick. It's very interesting. I love the ending. I love where it goes, and I love where it concludes. And it's a very great take on dimension blending and unexplainable extraterrestrial, extra dimension, parallel universe crunching. Basically horrifying imagery that you can think of forever, put together in a story, and in a modern tale of it, kind of thing. And I really like the character development in it, with the whole Wiccan thing, and even the daughter. Like, there's a point where she starts to not make a spell, but kind of, I guess you could say, she did something out of the Necronomicon book, that maybe she shouldn't have done. Maybe she should have. I don't know. I don't know how it related to what was going on with the whole extraterrestrial meteor thing, but I don't know. I guess, yeah, maybe thinking about it, maybe she knew what she was doing, and she kind of figured out that this extraterrestrial force was gonna cause havoc, and maybe she wanted to use the Necronomicon to join forces and make some good. I don't know. The ending obviously is up to interpretation. It's it's vague. It's left up in the air, and there's many theories to the story, but those are my favorite films because they have rewatch value, and this definitely has rewatch value, except for the disturbing elements of the film, because there are things in this film that are certainly hard to watch. But I really loved this film, and I do recommend it for horror fans and sci-fi fans, because it blends the two. But it's a very horrific film. It's a very disturbing film, and you should be prepared for that. But it also, it's entertaining. It could be funny at times, obviously, with Nicolas Cage. But the cast is great. Everybody in it is awesome. even the little guy, the who plays Jack, he's a good actor. He does his role really well, and it's good. I mean, I liked it a lot, and that's all I have to say about it. So subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like to listen to my reviews, and I will be back for more. So until then, I will see you next time. Cheers.